Ready?
Are we
All right,
clapping?
ready, do the clap back. Clap back. All right.
That's not helpful.
We're all like clippity clap clap. And
All
a
right.
one. Click, click, click.
Hi, welcome to Soundheads. I'm Tristan Todd,
I'm Sophia Massad.
and this is where we get into the minds of the music industry.
Today we have our amazing guest, Mallory Eagle.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
How are you
Set some
doing?
Whiskey down. Thanks
You
for
good?
having me.
Cross his legs.
Cross his legs. I'm here to talk serious talks.
So, give us kind of like a short synopsis, kind of like a rundown where you started and where you are now and everything in between.
Well, it all started when I was born. Just kidding. I mean, that is a big part of it. Pretty essential.
Amen.
I grew up in Oklahoma City, went to school in Bethany, so kind of grew up there, but grew up going to bluegrass festivals. My dad loves music. My mom loves disco, so it's like he was like bluegrass and country. She was like disco queen. So I was always
Nice.
around all kinds of music. My first concert was ZZ Top as a
Nice.
baby. So
Wow.
exposed
That's
to a
awesome.
lot of different things. But I definitely found my identity or like what I wanted to do in my career when I joined this bluegrass band called Cimarron Station in high school, end of high school, and just kind of started thinking like, wow, I got paid $50. Like this is real deal time. Like I should do this for real. And then I ended up going to ACM at UCO where I met you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, got an associate's there and took a year to just write and work on a record and then moved to Nashville and toured with some artists out there doing background vocals and studio work, still doing all of that. But now circling back, pandemic brought me back here to Oklahoma and working on record number 2.
Nice.
So yeah, and that's just kind of the gist of how I got, where I'm at, and that's a quick synopsis.
Yeah, I was like, you went blazed through it.
I said bullet points.
Yeah,
That's what she's about.
That's awesome.
Because I can also talk too much, so I was like, keep focused on the question.
It's really good.
Thanks.
So I guess I saw you sing first at the Opry when I was like, I don't know, 9?
Yeah, that's a big, sorry, let me track back to one of those points. Rodeo Opry was also a pretty big pivotal part of my journey. Cindy Scarberry there is like stage mama.
Amazing.
To me. I ended up working there in high school, actually. Like I got in, was performing there, and then out of high school into college started working there, background vocals in the house band. So
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's really
yeah, I still love them, and they're now they're rebranded as Oklahoma Opry.
Right.
So that's their old name. Actually, they've brought it back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
All
The more you
kind-
know.
That's really
I know.
cool.
All
Wow.
kinds of folks have started there. We're always saying like, Oklahoma Opry, Rodeo Opry kids are built different, and they are. Just like they just set you up to like
Yeah.
go into a professional setting and really do
Yeah.
the thing. And
Yeah.
it's a great community too, and they've got Granville students, for
Yeah.
kids with lower reduced lunches that they get free music lessons, and they've had
that's
kids
really
go
cool.
to Juilliard from all that. So
Yeah.
Cindy Scarberry, Oklahoma Opry,
Shout out.
big love.
They're amazing.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I remember seeing you and being like, oh God, I want to be this girl.
Stop!
She's
No!
got it. She's
Oh
got
my
it.
God.
Yeah.
Me sweating. My feet are sweating.
Oh boy. So I'm kind of fast forwarding through your like life experiences. So when you moved to Nashville and then moved back, obviously you've been playing kind of in both areas, both venues and everything. Like, can you compare and contrast the two? Like, how's Oklahoma stacking up? Like, I know we're kind of like expanding a little bit, but how are we stacking up to Nashville? Obviously, I don't think we're there yet, but
Well, I mean, yeah, that town has already so been established, and it's been Music City for such a long time. But it's growing. I will say the one thing I'm seeing in Oklahoma that keeps me here is that there's so much potential. There's so much potential. There's so many people that are so creative and so talented, and people that have moved home from their industry towns that they had to move to.
Yeah.
And I think the pandemic kind of put us in this place of like, what's important for me as a human as well as my career. And with this place being more affordable, less crowded, and more opportunity, that's kind of the number one thing Oklahoma in general has going for it. I mean, people are looking at land, and we've got weed now, and
Got it all.
there's a couple things that Nashville has lost because of that influx of people coming in, because LA and New York and Austin are even getting overcrowded. So
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nashville, last time I drove out of town, I remember trying to count how many cranes I saw on the highway out
Oh,
of town.
no.
At least 20. There's got to be about 200 downtown, though, building constantly.
Whoa.
I will say the number one thing Oklahoma could get is some more representation in artist management, artist development,
Absolutely.
distribution, publishing. We don't have those pivotal things here yet, but we will.
Yeah.
There are people here that are moving, like I said, moving out, that are looking at this as a potential of like, well, we can have those things. It's just about 10 years or 20 years behind.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be a slow progression, but there's something beautiful about being on the base floor of that, you know? So when we do reach a point where more people are moving here and it becomes more of a hub, there's a community here that's happening.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's always been community, but it was different. We have some people here that are really determined to do this, you know? But there's still some of those things that, like, next month, I'm driving out to Nashville to go to Americana Fest because I got to go and, you know, do some meetings and make some things happen and also reconnect and perform. Like, actually, I'm just got a DM from Jam in the Van. And I was like, what? This is awesome. They're like, yeah, we're going to be in Nashville. I'm like, see, there's still kind of those things that people still are going there to get a base level of. But there's also, on the other hand, so much talent that it can get lost.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, coming home and being able to have the professionalism and the experience and start applying those tools here, it's been really great for me.
Take what you learn and kind of build up.
There's still always, you know, we're always learning. There's so much to learn from. I mean, this is like an ever-changing industry now with the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you went from 90s, you know, go up there, pass your CD out, hope you freaking make it.
You had to be in the right state.
Yeah, it had to be in the right state. Had to be now with the internet. That's the other thing. A pandemic, I was like, oh, God, I got to get back to Nashville. But now I'm like, I've been able to thrive just because of socials.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. Are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I have like a pretty okay following, but
That's
nothing
awesome.
like super crazy.
Nice.
I'm still not sure how to really work it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
No, you do know. You're way better. You're like, no. Like,
I don't know, man. It's
I'm
hard.
always- talk about inspiring. I'm like, dang, her social game is like
Get
so
outta here.
good.
Thank you.
No, it is.
It's hard, and it's hard to make it music related because it's like so important to use trending audios, but I'm like, I want to use my audio.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough. It's like a weird
Layers.
in between we're in right now, especially being like our age. We didn't like
Yeah.
grow up knowing about it, and we're
Gen
not
Z.
too old to not do it. I don't know.
We're
It's a weird place.
Zillennials.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone
just here in the
say that.
middle.
It's like we're in between of millennial to Gen Z. Right at the end of the
Yeah.
90s kids, but right at the beginning of the early 2000s movements
Right.
and stuff. So pretty interesting. Zillennials.
Millennials.
Yeah,
Zillennials.
I like that. I like that. So I was going to add about Oklahoma City growing. Like that was kind of something that made us want to start this podcast.
Yeah.
Because we were like, you know, there's a couple of music podcasts in the city, but we're hoping to like also get touring acts and stuff like that and like really also show off how cool Oklahoma City is and like give awesome musicians a chance to talk about like their experience here. Because there's
Yeah.
so many people out there who literally don't know that we have a music industry.
Well, and we're getting so many cool venues too. I feel like Tower
Oh,
Theater's
yeah.
really like kind of growing and stuff. Beer City now
Yep.
that they have that.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
saw you play there,
Yeah, I was just
That's
sweating
just
it out
there.
this weekend for that festival.
but I think
awesome.
that's such a cool venue. And we got Criterion like
Yeah.
a couple years back, and we're getting like all these venues
And
that.
Blue Note
yeah.
back.
Yeah, Blue Note's
Note.
back. I actually
I
played
can-
there last week.
What?
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw you do your thing, I remember Rain Man going
Oh,
in hard
no.
like years ago in college. Y'all were just slaying that
Probably,
song.
yeah.
Yeah, the Blue Note. Before
Wow.
it was like you could breathe in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you
Walk out
can't,
with COPD.
can't smoke
like-
in there anymore. It's
Yeah.
Classic.
it's
No,
good.
it's awesome. I'm thankful, like you said, we're having these venues that are opening up, and
Yeah.
it's allowing more mid-cap rooms and stuff like that this is a routing stop.
Yeah.
You know, this is becoming a routing town.
Oh, yeah.
What's so crazy, too, is, you know, the friends and people that I've met along my career so far, there's this level that my friends are stepping up into. And it's awesome because they're all stepping up and bringing everyone with them, you know? And it's like when one of us succeeds, everyone succeeds.
Yeah.
Because it's just community and support. And so I've got a bunch of friends that are playing the Opry now and playing the late night show and coming through on big tours with real legitimate seasoned vets, you know, and it's cool when they're coming through town that I've become like this Oklahoma contact.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, Mallory moved back home. She's there. So I'm like, yeah. And I like get them in my car. I'm like, put the band in. And I'm like, let me show y'all real Oklahoma City, like from my point of view, and like show why I love it, and taking them into, you know, our community. And there have been some shows and stuff I've got to bring, you know, several friends that are on tour to like jazz night on Wednesday nights at Speakeasy.
Yeah.
I am doing this is a new thing. I'm starting a residency because of all of this.
Nice.
The one thing I will say, Oklahoma City, I feel has lost, and I understand, is that a lot of people are going away from roots and away from country and away from that Americana, and it's become this indie rock scene, and I love that. I mean, I support all genres of music, but for me, it's been a little like, oh man, like, where's the Hokny Tonk?
Yeah.
Where's the bluegrass jam? And you kind of have to really search for it. And I want to create this central hub. So partnering with Greg at the Speakeasy and my friend Rachel Riker, and she's kind of helping man some of my ADHD can't do all the organization. She's helping me. But Thursday nights at Speakeasy, every Thursday we're going to have a Hokny Tonk and bluegrass night.
Whoa.
So that's starting next week, the
Iconic.
25th. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
by the time y'all hear this, you can go any Thursday. But
That's awesome.
That's exciting.
It's exciting. I want to create a community space for people to come in, and you walk in and I'm like, oh, look, it's old Billy Bob. Get on the stage, and the house band brings you up, and it's just a fun night, and
that's awesome.
stuff like that, so it is exciting. I'm glad you guys are doing this podcast too, because there will be more opportunities, because there'll be a bunch of friends coming through and all kinds of artists that have downtime in this town.
Yeah, well, it's all about, like, we're hopefully being like the musicians podcast, where like other musicians will listen to it and like get to know like artists like you, and get to know producers, and get to know other people just in the industry, and be able to be like, oh, I know their experience now. I listen to them on the podcast. Like, let me go get business from them, or like try and like play a show with them, or whatever it is.
Making those connections.
My mic stand keeps falling. Hold on.
Oh no, he can't stand it. Oh. Bow, 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 bow.
All right,
I think I got
it's over. We're done.
We're good.
Like, no more.
But I was gonna say, like, that's so interesting, because growing up at the Opry, I was like, it's all country music here in Oklahoma. Like, I'm gonna have to move somewhere else, And now it's like, I don't even think about that, but now it's really switched. Yeah. Like, it's very indie rock here now,
which is like cool, and it's so it's awesome, but it's been tough for me. Lose his breath and where to go? I'm like, God, does anyone want a two-step? And the answer is no, but will I make you do it? Yes.
Hey, we'll be there.
Yeah,
Thursdays.
That's right. Well, yeah, and it's just, and there are, they're not diminishing. There are, Kirsten White has her country music group therapy, and they're at the deli in Norman, and there are outlets for it, but it's lost like a overall community. So I just want to create one outlet selfishly, so I can play all the songs I love and just have, whiskey and fried chicken and do the whole thing, and have a good night with people that want to do that too. So
that's so cool.
Also people that are still involved in indie stuff that have roots like that to come in and experience a fun night. So
totally. I feel like in Oklahoma, it's like, 9:00 any day of the week, everything's closed.
Right.
So even to like have something to do on a Thursday night,
huge.
To go see music. Yeah.
The fact that there's residencies now, even just in, jazz night's been popping off, and, and just even Ponyboy opened up like a karaoke thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, having something to do on a weeknight, because as musicians and creatives and people that are in this industry, our weekends start before the weekend, because we're working the weekend.
Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever the top, whatever weekday is, your kind of recover before you go back and do the thing, know. So unless you're, just gone for a month at a time. But even when you come back, it's like you'll probably come back on a Monday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And want to do something before the weekend again. No, that's awesome. That's a great point too, of like, there's just stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many times in my life have I like looked on Facebook being like, is there any music tonight?
Right.
Please?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So that's great to know. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
It's a
really
two-step.
Cool. Oh, hell yeah. Y'all know how to pretzel?
Pretzel? What's a pretzel?
Oh, God. I'm going to teach you.
All right.
Right after this.
After this podcast, teach me how to pretzel.
There'll be a tutorial link.
Teach me how to pretzel.
It's a lot of hand-eye coordination, arms, and movement.
Oh,
so.
there's arms involved,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
It's a whole thing?
Mm-hmm. It's a whole thing.
boy.
I will be showing you immediately after
Oh,
this.
boy.
I will not get it. I'm telling you now.
You will.
It's not my talent.
You will. Don't worry.
Oh, boy.
So, do you feel like your genre has like morphed a lot since you've grown up? And do you feel like moving to Nashville helped? Because I feel like you were more country and now leaning more towards Americana blues.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely have. I've got so many things in me musically that I want to do, and why certain artists like Alison Krauss and Chris Stapleton, Gillian Welch, these are people that grew up in a certain type of music, but they have influences from so many others. And you can hear that throughout their records of this diversity and influence, but it still has this common theme and thread that ties it all together, which is roots. Because I love bluegrass, I love country western, swing, but I also really get down on southern rock and soul and R&B and Motown, and I like rap. You know, like, I'm not afraid to say it. Get your girl who knew both. All of them, yeah. So, you know, I like so many different things. But I definitely have felt like the more I have turned inward and focused on what I want to just put out, what's the music I want to listen to?
Yeah.
And like going through this record process right now of like, I've even cut songs that didn't align with what I needed for this project. 'Cause it's like, I don't feel my heart in that. And I don't feel like it's that time for me to do that type of music. I definitely would say it's roots country based with elements of that like Americana, like, you know, thing, soul thing.
Do you feel like when you're writing, you're like, I'm going to write this certain genre, or are you just like writing?
I just actually last night this happened. I started writing a song, and it was just what I wanted to say about something, and I just let it go, and it ended up having this real like old nostalgic sound, like you would hear like on an old movie or something. And so I'm not really limiting myself. I think it's a special gift when you have an idea that comes through you. You just gotta grab it and pull it down. And it's so sad to think about how many times I've rejected creative ideas or songs or things that I could use maybe later on, or even someone else could use, because sometimes the songs I'm receiving to write aren't for me. This could be for someone else, and that's what's fun about it. It's just this fluid thing. But last night, and it's definitely one that fits into my my whole brand and what I'm trying to do. So I'll probably be playing it, once I finish it and do it and everything. But there's been songs where I'm like, man, this sounds like sad, like indie folk girl looking out the window as the rain rolls down, and it's like, that's not necessarily what I'm wanting to do, but someone else might do it, or I can use it for a project later. You're like,
save it for later.
I'm sad girl.
And like this record too, I've played around with it. I've got some songs, they're gonna hit people over the head a little bit. They're not expecting some of the sounds and production quality and writing and stuff that I'm gonna be delivering. So it's gonna be a little
really exciting. That's really exciting. I think that shows like a lot of cool just like songwriter maturity too, to like know, like when you're writing songs, like I feel like a lot of people just like write a song and they get done with it and they're like, all right, I gotta go and record it and put it on my album or whatever. But being able to pick and choose and write enough material to be like, well, I want that one on the album, this one I'll save for a later date, or maybe somebody, like you said, somebody else might use it later on down the line or whatever. I think that shows like a lot of like maturity in songwriting. So that's
thanks.
really cool to hear. I'm really excited for
homie, you make me cry.
Dang. About your songwriting process, do you like write lyrics, or do you like start with guitar? And also, do you write it on an actual piece of paper?
I do, I literally was analog last night.
Let's go.
Sometimes, if I don't have it, I have to use notes. But there's something about being able to put it down on a piece of paper, and I can visually see it, and I've used my hand to like write it out. I always remember those easier. And if I type it out for same in school when I was like doing notes on I can do notes on a laptop. I didn't retain it. It's just how I learn. Some people are different. That's better for them. Just the process for me, it kind of varies. I would say definitely I have a melody that I start with, and I know what I'm trying to say. And then I try to apply those two, and sometimes they coincide and sometimes they don't. So awesome. If something's like kind of gelling, I'm like, okay, yeah. Then I'll roll with that, and then I'm like, I'll add chords to it or whatever. But I've also noticed, which last night was different. It was crazy. I think I'm just in a different point in my writing where I was writing more of an AAA style, like just verse. But within the verse, there's melody changes and stuff that keep your ear hooked. Okay. Because I can't stand when it's just the same and the same and the same. It kind of loses its spark for me. So I have to have something that's an earbug. But I typically write choruses first. I'll write a chorus and then build out the story around. So a little backwards. But last night I was like, I don't think I'm going to write a chorus for the first time. I was cool. Like, dang.
Totally opposite.
So it kind of varies, to answer your question. It kind of varies for me of, sometimes it's verses and sometimes it's choruses or a lyric or a melody and then guitar. Yeah. It's just whatever that song has to give me.
Right.
Is what I do with it.
You're not like sitting down like this is going to be verse, chorus.
Yeah.
Verse,
I just treat it kind of as this like
let
gift.
it come naturally.
Yeah. It's like even in life, I think over the last couple of years, something I've just learned with, we've had so many things we've had to face that are out of our control and just choosing to go with the ebb and flow. Yeah. I can't force something. I can't, if it's right, it's going to happen. So that's just what I'm leaning into with writing moving forward.
Nice.
That's awesome. So beautiful.
Oh.
And so like next level, that like shows that you write often. Because that's like not easy. I feel like the more you do it, the more it comes to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like you must be cranking them out.
Well, and I was in a pretty dry spell for a while. That's the other thing too. I've had to be I was cranking them out for a long time, and just having a ton of songs and co-writing sessions. And I've learned a lot in co-writing too. There's kind of this expectation you get together and we're supposed to crank out this song. Now, if you aren't a publishing label and that's what you're supposed to do, you got a pub deal, you do got to crank out the song, whether you really kind of like it or not. But not having that pressure right now has been nice to learn in co-writing of let's just get together and if we get a verse, great. Yeah. If we get nothing, great. I need to know a little bit about you because it's this dance that you're doing with someone else and their influences and writing style, and it can be so different.
Yeah,
and it's just like communication of learning how to communicate with someone. Like, okay, we speak the same lingo. But sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay too. I've had co-writes where we're best friends. Mm-hmm. We sit down trying to write a song, and you can't, and that's okay. But it's just like been this whole learning process of like, and then there's some people I sit down and we're just song.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, and there's something kind of beautiful about that. It's this like you get to go home and you have this present of this finished piece that you did, and you guys had that together. Yeah.
So do you do a lot of co-writing?
I was doing a lot in Nashville. I'm going to do some when I go back for Americana Fest and stuff like that. I'm kind of right now trying to figure out what I need to write for myself.
Right.
So a part of what I was going to say about the dry spell is I was getting really hard on myself. Why can't I write? I was writing all these songs. I used to be able to write. Used to be able to feel really confident about it. And it's something that I was struggling with. And I realized, I'm still living some of these things. I'm still processing. I'm still going through these things, and I'm not at a place to be reflective enough to write about it. And sometimes when you're in it, you can write about it. But for me right now, it was just a place of like, I'm still going through, and I need to sit down afterwards and then process how I feel. But it's just different. It's just life,
Yeah. Dang. So what's some of your advice for that? Like, do you come in with ideas in a songwriting session, or do you hope that the other person does?
Well, it can vary. I think it's good to have. I wrote this song with my friend Bryn and Lee in Nashville about a neighbor I had here in Oklahoma City, and I had pretty much the beginning of the verse and the hook written, and I was like, okay, that's good, but I kept it in my back pocket for a song that's on this record's from 2017. So like, I've kept some songs from way back, and I just always keep some on hand, like on hand. Like, okay, this is a great idea. I don't know if I'm the one that has to complete it. I might have to partner with someone that's right to complete this. Mm-hmm. And so I think having kind of a preset idea of what you want to do is great. But there's also something about if if you feel comfortable with these people or building out a track just from scratch.
Yeah.
Because there's something about that too. You just like get on a vibe and then it's like,
And
okay,
you're like,
okay,
I like
okay.
that. Keep
and you're
doing
like,
that.
wait,
Yeah.
okay, do that, okay. And then I got words to say, you know,
Yeah.
I got something to say. And you put it on, you know, and it's a good thing. But I think it's just, it varies. But like getting started into co-writing, one of the number one things you have to be pretty avid about is if you are going in to create with someone, you really need to think about, am I willing to have a percentage partnership with this person on this song if I'm releasing this? Because then you get into all the copyright stuff, and I'm with BMI and all of that, but you know, you just have to think about who you're writing with and be really really careful about that. Because there have been instances too where it was like, that I'm glad that didn't really go anywhere because, and not that it was a bad person, it's just like it maybe professionally does not align or was not going to be a better outcome later to be tied to, you know, just not on the same page about things. So really thinking about being intentional about who you're writing with. I would suggest not writing, and I've done this a lot, but not writing so much with other front artists. If you are a front artist and coming in, it'd be better to write with a seasoned pro that already has like multiple hits under their belt because they're not really trying to push it. And if you do write with another artist, like my friend Bryn and I, we're 50-50. We're supportive. I'm playing my version of the song. She's playing her version. But there's this love and understanding and respect for each other, but that doesn't always happen. So you have to be really, really careful sometimes when you get into that of like, well, I just want to cut it. Well, what if I want to cut it? What if I want to cut my version? Just like, you know, classic, Dolly Parton, I will always love you.
Right.
And then Whitney cut it, but it was so beautiful because they both had their own version. And it was the same respect and love between it.
Right.
You know, and I don't think Whitney, you know, was a co-writer on that, but, you know, in that instance, if they were, it'd be like they're both playing their version.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider and think about. Co-writing's fun. It's also a great exercise to get out of your own mind and your own, just like sometimes you can get stuck.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I think getting out of your comfort zone is so artistically, like, just enhancing.
Oh, it's so,
It's
it's
so,
fulfilling.
I love co-writing with different people, or even, like, just taking a song that you think, like, man, I really like this song as, like, a rock song or a punk song or whatever it is, and then, like, transferring it to, like, maybe I'll try it as a folk song or something. Maybe I'll try it as something else, or, like, a completely different genre, or just change up something, and just getting out of your comfort zone just to see what it's like.
Totally.
Is so, like, artistically enhancing.
I did an R&B like pop kind of writing session with my buddy Wyatt Clem from the Ivy, and we sat down. He had a beat, and I was like, "Ooh,
all right,
say something."
Yeah,
and I said something, and it was fun. It was good,
That's
and it
awesome.
was like I got to exercise this other part of myself that I didn't know that I had. Right. So that's a good thing too. Is like, you know, be careful, but also just have fun with it too.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a great exercise to get out of your own perspective and mind.
Right.
I think a lot of times we get stuck in there.
Yeah.
I do for sure.
So you were kind of mentioning earlier a little bit about kind of had somebody to kind of manage you as like a Mallory Eagle, the solo artist kind of thing. Do you do a lot of it yourself? Do you like, how many years did you have to like self-promote and do a lot of your own managing before you kind of found some help? And like, what led you to the point of being like, all right, I need some help?
Totally. Well, I think it's just kind of this thing of do it, you know, get out there, play those gigs you don't really want to play. You do the 3-hour, 4-hour cover thing just to get your chops up and get really tight. And it continues to teach you what you need to do. And I'm finally at a place where, and I still do everything by myself. It's a one-woman show, but it's getting to a point now with I'm more selective because I've done a lot of those gigs the last about 5 years. And I'll still pick up gigs here and there that are cover gigs and stuff or make a little extra cash and fun, but I'm being more intentional about the kind of gigs I'm playing. And, you know, I had to, you know, I raised my rate. So because it's, you know, I've done some things under my belt now that allow me to do that and continue to do that as I go forward. But you start getting into contracts and you start dealing with, you know, other bands that are on labels and have managers, and you're doing this by yourself.
Yeah.
And it can be pretty stressful, you know, getting advances for shows goes. Having to know all that information of this is my input list, this is what I'm having, getting on the stage even and going, yeah, this is, I need 180 dB like cut because this is where we're feeding back. It's kind of those things you just learn after you've been doing it a lot. Right. But I'm thankful now to have a couple people that are managers and have managed before and are currently managing that have been mentorships to me.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm taking they're not managing, but they're imparting some of their wisdom, and that's been so, like, even just with the co-write thing, I kind of had a conversation. My friend Brenda Klein was like, you just got to be careful because, and I was like, oh, okay, like there's just some of these things when you're green and you're getting started, and I'm still have so much to learn and do, but it's like having them kind of direct the boat a little bit of like, remember this, and then also know X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. Right. Keeps it in your mind. And then, at some point I will get management, and it'll be great to meet a bunch of people here in Nashville this, Americana Fest, and see who I meet and set some meetings up and see what happens, and just being able to, be open to it, and it's a cool thing to kind of be at that level now where I'm like really needing.
That's really exciting.
I'm also like, God, I need help. I can't.
Somebody help.
I got ADHD. She can't do it all myself.
Somebody help the girl.
Someone help me, God. But it's taught me a lot too when you have to do everything for yourself and promote yourself, be your own marketing, be your own publishing team. I'm going to be my own publicist, and it's like I've had some great friends that are publicists that have got me some great contacts, but I'm going to be, pushing my own record, having to I've heard of a bunch of friends that have had to do that, and they just create a fake email that looks like legitimate, and a lot of people do that for booking too. And I tried to do that, but it just felt weird. It just felt weird to me. But there is something about when you get an email or like an agency or distribution or someone, you're getting contacted by their team or management, it's a little bit more legitimate. And it's sad that it kind of has to be that way, because it's like, why can't I be legitimate enough? But this is just the game.
Well, and in my mind, I'm like, it's way cooler if like the artist is contacting you. It's way more respectful. They're hustling.
Right.
But then to the eyes of the person who's booking, they're like, oh, that person has to do it themselves. It's sad because it's like, I'm boss, I'm doing the thing, I'm hustling, but it's also like, it is viewed differently. Yeah. And it also can get tricky if you're having an issue with the negotiation, because that's where sometimes, it can get like, well, that's the artist and they don't have representation. Right. So this is what it is, kid. And you're kind of like, no, I'm demanding respect, and and this is what I need, and this is what it is. And sometimes that can be a tough thing. Whereas if you had a manager, you don't have to be that bad guy, and it's just business. But it's a business. If that's like the number one thing I've had to remind myself is the artistry is so important, but the business is what will get you where you need to go.
Yeah, save for the people in the back.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Know your business. No, it's true. And something I've kind of recently been like, oh yeah, it's like, well, I don't know how that works. We'll figure it out. Look it up. Mm-hmm. We have the internet. I have people I can call. YouTube. Open How Music Works by David Bryn from college and look up a couple points, you know, and that's such a great book, and still so many things that apply. But it's like I'm tired of not knowing anymore. Oh yeah, it's like it's not really a mystery. It's a machine. Yeah, and you just need to know how the parts work.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Actually, yeah, I like that.
We're getting deep.
Beautiful.
Hi, this is Deep Sound.
Hi, this is Deep Talks.
Deep Talks.
Yes. Okay, so with like collaborations, you've collaborated with some bigger artists as well, like Wade Hayes. And how did you like get that connection?
Well, the Wade Hayes, that show was really fun. That was with Cindy for Radio Opry, Oklahoma Opry, for their New Year's Eve show and fundraiser, and they just had their anniversary, which is awesome. And he used to play there back in the day because he's an Okie boy too. Oh. Yeah, and so that's the other thing is Oklahoma does have so many artists that are from here. Carrie Underwood, Vince Gill, Reba McEntire, Blake Shelton. The list goes on and on and on and on. And Leon Russell. I mean, you got the Tulsa Sound. There's so many artists and industry people that are from here that had to move and do the thing. But it's like, for me, some of these artist opportunities I did gain from just being friends with people in Nashville. Yeah. Some of these people are just my friends, and they're just people. And when you're out there, it's kind of like this weird thing of like, oh, dang, I'm sitting in a jam session with my heroes. But it's normal. And
Yeah.
it kind of for me, it was great because it kind of took away this like feeling of like fangirl stardom. And of course, you know, I did see Chris Stapleton sit across from me in Leaper's Fork, and he was eating a chicken sandwich, and I was like, whoa, do I say something? Do I say something? I was like in full panic mode. My body was like, oh no. And I was like, no. He's having his sandwich. It's 3 p.m. No one's here. Let him enjoy his life. But, you know, if I had gone up and said hi to him, he would have been so sweet.
Yeah.
I already know it. But it's just like this reminder, we're all people, and yes, respect, yes, all these great things, and obviously earned all their titles, but it's been cool that some of these people are just my friends, and you know, getting these opportunities to open for some people that I've been such big fans of. Like I got to do a show with Chris Scruggs and Kenny Vaughn, who are part of Marty Stewart's band, and I remember a full circle moment happening for me with that show where my dad and I had seen Marty Stewart play at the Tower Theater and bought the big like book that you could have signed, and we're waiting in the hallway, and you know, they're all signing it, and I met Chris Scruggs there and Kenny, and then, you know, flash forward 2 years later, I'm in Nashville playing a show with them at the 5 Spot.
That's really cool.
With Christina Vane, and it was such a cool thing to just realize like anything is really possible. You just gotta keep believing and keep working. I feel like so many times there's this feeling of like, what am I doing this for? Why do I suffer? Why am I broke? Why? And you can start to really focus on those negative things, but when you zoom out and think about the positive and what could come to you, that's when things get better. Yeah. It's just a mindset, you know, and so it's been really cool getting to open for people. And Joshua Ray Walker, my bud, I just saw him down in Texas, and the Vandaliers, I got to open for their album release, and
that's awesome.
They just played the Ryman with Turnpike Troubadours, you know, and R.C. and Edwards were, it's just like, it's this beautiful thing that's happening where I'm getting to work with more closely, and these are not just these people that I still am so goo goo gaga over, but it's also this thing where they're becoming my peers, and we're working together, and it's just what happens, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really exciting.
It's exciting.
Gotta focus on the positives.
Gratitude, positivity, and it's hard to do that all the time, but it'll change your outcomes, I think.
I feel like it's a lot more motivating too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about getting stuff done, being motivated.
That's right. Being motivated. Yeah. I mean, I'm such a workhorse. I'm just like, go. And then I'll have like, everyone knows that my friend girl, like Mallory will have like a collapse period where she's like sick for like 2 weeks or like a week's like period because she's so exhausted down on the ground.
And you're like so thankful for that sickness.
I'm like,
you're like,
God, yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah. I've learned how to not do that so much, but definitely like
balance.
Yeah, balance for sure. What taught me to have more balance is someone, a friend of mine said, Mallory, you got to treat rest like work. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't I learn that way earlier? I would be less exhausted. But it's true. It's like when you take those moments, just like recover, it's like, I can do even more.
Exactly. I love that.
Hours.
I have to rest so I can work more.
Do you set yourself like any goals for like every day? You're like, every day I'm gonna write a song, or like every day I'm gonna play a G chord.
Definitely G chord.
That's enough for today.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I definitely make it a point. Like right now, all I'm doing is music full time, and I've been able to like live and survive off of that. Fingers crossed. I'm like, next month's looking a little shy, but you know, but it's like day. I don't mind getting a side hustle to continue to make it happen. But it's been great this month to just have gigs and be like, I feel good, you know, and it's good, but it's not always like that. This is like a ever changing thing unless you have it all like pre-planned and booked out. So every day right now, I'm getting up and I'm going, okay, what do I need to do? Right. What do I have to do? What's ahead of me? And what do I need to be doing constantly to make that happen? Yeah. So I've got my planner out. I go through and even if it's just, okay, today, my goal, if it's a busy day and I'm doing a lot of other things that aren't necessarily music related, I go, okay, who do I want to work with? And I write down a list and I start looking up who are some labels or management or, you know, XYZ. Who are people and like things that I need to do and like want to work with with that I need to like look into.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I start writing them down on a list. Sponsors, creating pitch decks. Like that's another thing too, is like I've learned through working with my friend Michael Weidman at Tallgrass, I had to learn how to be really good at pitch decks. I was
Yeah.
working for this cowboy poet in the middle of the pandemic with him. And we went out to Santa Fe and like had an entire thing, and he was like doing cowboy poetry and staying in this beautiful like adobe home, and
Oh, that's so cool.
it was just amazing. And it was like, oh yeah, like you can get free boots and stuff and partner with people that believe in your brand and believe in what you're doing. And like, I got a pair of free boots out of it. I was like,
Hey.
dang, this is awesome. So
That's cool.
that's another thing too. It's like creating longevity for yourself later in the career.
Totally.
You know, you see artists like, again, Dolly. She's such a great example for everything. She's got like Dolly cupcake mix,
Yep.
and I'm gonna buy it.
Yep.
And you best believe I'm gonna buy that damn shit because that is good.
Yeah.
Dolly knows what's up.
You know it's gonna be good. You already know it's probably
Yeah.
gonna be like vanilla strawberry deliciousness. You know, you had strawberry wine. You could have
yeah.
your own wine,
Oh man, I'd have Dolly wine.
Ooh,
but you
Dolly
could
wine.
have Sophia wine.
I
Come
mean,
on.
Dolly wine sounds.
But Dolly wine is also good.
I've been to the Dixie Stampede and had like Dolly beer. That
Oh
counts.
yes,
Dolly
yeah,
beer?
the big.
I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, and you're eating with your hands. There's no forks. A rotisserie chicken. Well, I'm gonna put myself on blast. I did go to the Dixie. Well, it's not called that anymore, but at the time it was called the Dixie Stampede in Branson. They brought out a rotisserie chicken on a plate, and I grew up with my mom's kind of a little bit of a picky eater. I'm putting her on blast too. Sorry, mom. But you know, I'd never just seen like a full chicken sitting in front of me, and I was like, I cried. I was like, how do I eat this? She was like, you got to rip. I was like, no. I don't want to. I want to just see like chicken nuggets or like the meat already prepared, you know?
I don't want to know what
This
it
isn't a
is.
strip. What is going on?
Yeah. I'm like, man, that just unlocked something in me.
Yeah.
Like revealing trauma about a rotisserie
the
chicken
vegan.
at Dolly's.
So, I don't know what I was. Are we?
All right,
We're going to
so
all
now
join in prayer. Dear Dolly.
Dear Dolly.
Praise be Dolly.
Pardon my
Praise be Dolly.
sins.
Yes. Pardon my... Yeah.
Okay, if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
I hate these questions. Because
You don't
there's
already
too many-
know?
No.
Oh, okay.
Have-
5 people.
Oh, 5.
Five?
Dinner party.
Whoa.
It's
Okay, it's a dinner party now.
Private dinner party.
Who's at your dinner party?
See, this is where I go, I don't know anyone. My anxiety voice, yeah, it always comes out. Yeah, yeah. Someone said one time when my laugh gets really worked up that I sound like the Barbie Jeep going down a hill, like, like
Oh my god.
it's like kind of wheezy and like the brakes are like. Anyway, so 5 people at a dinner party. See, I would have to like come back later with like a full presentation. But let me just think off the cuff. Definitely Willie Nelson.
Okay.
Because you know he'd be bringing really awesome dank weed. And then
Yep.
the dinner was going to be so delicious.
Yep.
It's going to be enhanced.
He's
Also,
enhancing
chicken.
it right there.
a living legend.
Yep.
Yeah, which
Right.
protect him at all costs. I really love Sandra Bullock.
Okay, that's a good one.
I just
love
watched
that.
Hope Floats recently, and I was like crying, just crying. And she's just such a relatable. I think as a kid I couldn't relate, but now as an adult I'm just such a Sandra Bullock fan.
Yeah.
I would bring Chris Stapleton back to the table with his chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Sit down,
for
Chris.
dinner.
I keep saying this; it's gonna happen.
He's actually gonna listen.
He's
to this.
gonna watch it. Yeah, tag it. Just tag
and
him.
watch it. Hey, yo, Chris, we got some.
Yeah,
show you.
100%. I would also say Alison Krauss because she's
Yeah.
such a fan. I'm such a fan of her.
Yeah.
She transcended.
deal.
No, man, whoa, maybe I don't know. She's amazing and transcended so much for women in bluegrass music and
okay.
really stepped out of that traditional sound and like went more progressive. And it's so powerful and like long lasting. Her live album, I know every lick. Jerry Douglas can be playing on that dobro and I could sing every note.
Nice.
I love it so much. So those are, let me think. Do I have one more?
One more.
Oh my God. That's kind of a lot. There's so many people in this world.
It's your dinner party, man.
This is my dinner party.
Yeah.
This is already a pretty stacked list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Sandra Bullock feels left out because she's not a musician. So who's another non-musician? This is why when people ask these things, I'm thinking too much about.
Too realistically.
I'm literally thinking like I'm hosting a dinner. I know what I'm putting on the menu.
When
I
in
bet
doubt,
Sandra Bullock
you
loves
always
Willie.
choose
I
The
think so.
Rock. When in doubt.
I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that. I would be like, Mr. Rock, sir.
Mr. Rock,
sir. I think I'm just gonna go with those 4. I'm gonna leave the last one as a mystery guest.
We'll find out next
Because
time.
that's really what I'm doing. I'm going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger of dum-dum.
After
What's
the
last?
album comes out.
Yeah, so
Oh,
anything
yeah,
you want to
damn.
promote that's coming up?
Yeah. So
Tell the people.
Tell the
we've
people.
got Bluegrass and Honky Tonk Night at the Speakeasy on every Thursday night from 8 to 11.
We're gonna pretzel.
Yep, we're gonna pretzel. I'm gonna teach people proper 2 steps and stuff like that, and you can bring your instrument and come and jam as well, which is gonna be a part of the whole thing. It's gonna be a great night. And then I've got a new record I'm working on right now, and I took it from a 4-song EP to a full 10-song LP. So
Nice.
we're gonna be doing the whole thing, and hopefully get some singles out, peppered out throughout the fall, and then full record out by next fall. There's a lot that goes
Nice,
into all
yeah.
that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of keep your eyes and ears open for new tunage.
Hey, nice.
Awesome.
Thank you, Gilson at 33rd Street Studio for having us and doing the
Gilson,
recordings. He's
Gilson,
amazing.
Gilson.
Get all of
Oh, I
your
did
audio
that.
recordings from Gilson.
Thank you guys so much
Of
for
course.
having me.
Thank
This
you,
has
Mallory.
been
This is
such a
awesome.
fun time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Such
yeah,
great
thank
insight
you.
on the music industry, and
Oh,
you're just
man.
fun to talk to.
Well, I
can't
just
wait to
love
pretzel.
y'all. Yeah, we're gonna pretzel.
Sorry, guys, we gotta go learn how to pretzel. Thanks for listening. This has been Soundheads.
Remember to keep your head in the sounds.
Pink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.